Now that you know how to perfectly record MIDI and audio tracks, let's see how can we edit it. Now we're going to explore some basic editing, even though there are things like audio editors and MIDI editors, which we will explore in depth. For now, we're just going to do some basic editing and some basic tools that we have on our toolbar. And as you can see, I have one MIDI track, I have an audio track that we are going to play with, and our editing tools are right here. So you can see it on your toolbar, this section here where we can see a set of different tools. Now, even though we have these tools accessible, there is also a better way to access these tools even faster. And I have it set up on my right click. Now, if I click on my right click, I get these tools. Now I'm holding it. When I release it, I lose it. So if you don't see the same thing as I do when you hold your right click, you should go to Edit and then to down here to Preferences, and then under Editing, Tools, and check this stuff here. Show Toolbox and right click. So if you have this one checked, you will get the right click like I had it before. If you uncheck it, let's see what happens. If I go OK, I do the right click, I get a bunch of options. This is also useful as well, but most of the time when I'm editing stuff, I like having my tools, which are right here. If we just go here to Tools, and we can select the same tools we had, but I just like keeping it under on my right click instantly. So I will just go to Preferences, I will check this one, and we are good to go. Now, when I hold my right click, I can just, while holding it, point the option I want to select, and then that one will get selected. So first one right here is object selection. We can just click and select objects, or we can just, drag and make a selection, select different tracks. Now, the second one is called range. Now, keep in mind that this one is dependent on snap option. So I can select a certain range if I just hold my left click on a track. So number of bars or beats or, whatever my snap value is. So right now I'm quarter notes, so I'm selecting quarter notes. If I turn off snap, or you can just press letter J, I can select freely, so I can just do some free selection. And this can be also very useful if you just want to select a specific part of the track. Okay, we can also put the locators around when we're talking about locators. Remember, it's very useful, let's say when you're working, editing a specific part, I can just press letter P. We talked about this in the first section, and I can instantly put my locators around that range of selection on that track. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one, again, right click, is Draw Tool. Now, Draw Tool has, a variety of options. For now, let's just do the basic stuff. Don't worry, we will be using Draw Tool, especially in MIDI editor. We're also going to mention it in audio editor. But for now, here in our project window, we can simply draw an empty MIDI track. So if I just hold my left click and I do a range here on my MIDI track, I can have an empty MIDI track. Later on, you will see how can I use this empty track to input some MIDI notes in it. So if I double click on it, we open a MIDI editor, which we will discuss in detail. Don't worry about it for now. I'm just going to remove the lower zone where it appears. And this is how we can use our draw tool. The next one would be erase. So we can erase stuff. If I just click on the track, I will erase it. The same thing goes here. I'm just going to undo this here to get our tracks back. Then we have cut tool or split. Now again, this one is dependent on snap. If I have my snap on, I will cut on quarter notes here. So if I click anywhere, I'm just going to cut my track. Now the thing here with MIDI track is, let's see if I cut the audio track. Everything remains the same. I only see the line right here. But when you cut a MIDI track, since MIDI track remembers the data you input when you press the key, it will basically remove the visible part on the right side. So keep that in mind. If you cut it, you won't see the notes anymore where you cut. So pay attention to the beginning of the MIDI notes. Let's undo this stuff again. And the next option would be glue. So if I do the cut, and let's say I cut my audio track here, Now I have two separate tracks. But if in any reason I want to decide to glue it again, or if I have different tracks chopped and then connected together, I can just hold right click, go to my glue option, and then by clicking from left to right, when I click on it, I glue the track. Now let's do several cuts. What if I have one cut here, and I'm just going to turn up the snap, and let's say one cut here. 3 tracks now, 3 separate parts. Let's turn on the snap to connect it. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to make some space empty. It doesn't really matter. And if I go to glue, by clicking from left to right, 1 click, 2 clicks, I connect all of these together into one piece altogether. And one thing I didn't mention, but you probably noticed, when you just, let's say, select a tool, like a split tool, and when I just click on the right click once fast, I instantly go back to the default selection tool. It's useful to know that. Okay, now the next one is mute. By just once clicking on the track, I'm muting the track. Let's undo this. Or you can select mute and then do the range and mute the entire range of tracks instantly. Okay, and the next option is zoom. I don't use this one so often here, since I like using my shortcuts, which we talked about. But if you click on the track, you can do some, as you can see, horizontal zooming here. And I'm just going to zoom out on letter G here and drag it a little bit here. Okay, now the next tools here, a comp and time warp and also this line tool, we won't be using for now, since these will have its own purpose when we start doing some other stuff. In editors for now, don't worry about it. These are a bit more complex and we won't cover it for now. Now we can also play a certain track from a certain point. So wherever I place this little speaker, let me just mute the first track. Let's play this vocal track down here. I first need to unmute it since I muted it. And if I take my speaker here, let's say click here. Or if I click on the beginning, the moment I press it, it plays. The moment I release my left click, it stops playing. So we can listen and audition different parts of the track. And the last thing is color tool. We can colorize elements. So right here, I'm here at my palette. If I go here to this little tool here and I select, let's say, I don't know, green color. See, it gets green. And if I click here, it gets green again. So basically, whatever I click, it will get this color I've selected here so I can color my tracks. Okay, this would be it about basic editing of our tracks. Let's move on to the next video.